I am going to push the button. It's a Thursday show. There we go, Mrs. Ryan. This has been... I feel like he's one of the first people we ever reached out to.
Yeah.
Expecting it to take a while, but I feel like one of the first people. So I'm going to say this has been maybe a year and a half in the making.
I think so.
It's going to be a good one tonight. Hi, welcome back, Mrs. Ryan.
Hello,
Welcome back, everybody else at home. Tonight is, if you couldn't tell from my shirt, tonight is Thursday, October 31st, 2019. I forgot I was supposed to be wearing a glove when I did that. I should have said, if you can't tell from my right hand, tonight is Thursday, October 31st, Mrs. Ryan. It is Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. How you doing? Happy Halloween to you.
Happy Halloween. I wear green socks.
Halloween was always a very big thing in my life before I met you, but since I met you, it really has not been, and I'm not trying to draw any parallels there. It's just we've never done the haunted houses and all the things. When I was a kid, who wants to... I used to design haunted houses. For the JCs, which was like Junior Chamber of Commerce, and we did a haunted house every year in an old 250-year-old barn in an apple orchard.
You showed me some stuff. It's incredible.
And we would do a haunted hayride through the whole, what everybody else does. But
you say stuff.
What a creative yet apt little kid. By the way, that all started. I used to do it in the shed in the backyard, and then we got in the paper, and then that's a story for another day.
Now what everyone else does,
I
guys.
do want to tell a story. You know what? Hang on. All of that, Mrs. Ryan. It's Halloween. Yay, yay, yay. How about our guest today? Our guest today, it's been a year and a half in the making. Tony Callas from Callas Rennsport is here. Finally. Welcome, buddy. He's a little bit nervous, but he is not shy of talking, so we are going to have a great conversation in a few minutes. And I know that Mrs. Ryan and I are both very much looking forward to that. Hope you are as well.
Yeah, can't wait.
Bring it in a little bit here, Mrs. Ryan. I am wearing this shirt today on purpose, and I have this glove today on purpose, and it's not just for Halloween. I want to tell you a quick story in the hellos, if that's all right. You know what it is. All right, 10 years ago, I was driving across the country with, it doesn't matter with, I wasn't with anybody, but I had left an event with one of my closest friends in the entire world, Catherine DeLorean, daughter of John DeLorean, the car. Yeah, that one. And we had... spent some time at a DeLorean event and whatever, and then I was driving across country here to be with Mrs. Ryan. Yes, that's correct. Way back then when we had first met.
Thank you.
And at this DeLorean event, we never told this story on the show, right?
No.
All right. I used to drink, folks, and when I used to drink, I drank pretty well. And beyond that, whenever there was an event like a big, like a DeLorean, it was whatever the big show is every year, the giant convention every year. People would buy you drinks, and man, then I would really drink. So the gist of it, this one night I was feeling no pain, and Catherine, just like me, Kat is a big horror fan, and I, for some reason, because I had put some collectibles in the trunk of the car, this is one of them, and for whatever reason, I was showing her the glove. Okay, now we're outside, and none of this really matters until this part. I was folding up a folding chair with the glove on. Imagine this. Kaboom! And I speared myself, much like Pete Townsend did once on the whammy bar when he was doing the whole... So I speared myself with the Freddy glove, quite good, and feeling no pain, and thinking, oh, no big deal. It was bleeding all over the place, and thinking, no big deal. Go inside the bar, fixed it up and everything. Tony just threw up in the other room.
Me too.
Well, it gets worse. Should I tell the rest of it?
Yes.
All right. So now I'm driving across. That was that night, and it wasn't really a big deal. And now it's sore a little bit the next day, but of course it is. I just speared myself with a knife. So I'm driving across country, and that was in I think Lexington, Kentucky. And I'm driving to Kat's and her husband's house in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. They don't live there anymore. So I got to their house, and I was staying at their house alone because they were doing something else. I was just using it as, instead of a hotel, they let me stay at their house for the night while I'm driving across country. So the next morning, Jay goes to the shower, took the Band-Aid off, of course, before the shower because, got to make sure we're all clean. And it wasn't really a big deal. While I was in the shower, and gets a little bit gross, so if you get queasy, please mute it or turn away. I noticed a little thread from the Band-Aid like sticking out, and I couldn't. My fingernails weren't enough to grab it. So instinct was I just went like, blacked out, dropped right to the floor. That was a nerve, folks. Blacked out right in Cat Seymour DeLorean's shower. It was a crazy moment. I just remember coming to and texting you the whole bit. I'm like, funny thing just happened. Also, I think I might throw up, and I remember you trying to talk me out. Do you need to go someplace? Should you go to the hospital?
I didn't know you
Halloween,
at all.
Happy Halloween, Freddie Glove, and and then the gist of it is this belonged to Kat for years and years and years, and one time. Driving across country the other way one time, stopping at her house, I gave her a Jason mask, right?
That's awesome.
This is before you could buy them at Toys R Us and everything. This was when they're kind of rare. Like prop makers had to make them. And she, in return, gave me this shirt. Now, this shirt was something that she used to wear. It was like her study shirt whenever she would, get a cram to get a good grade on a test or whatever in college, and it was very close to her, and she parted with it. So I never wear it, but it's always in the closet because it means something to me.
That's
and
awesome.
Today I'm wearing it because it's Halloween. So blah blah blah. Sorry for all that, but when I saw the glove, the whole story came back to me, and the shirt, like it all just came back, and I was like, I bet I maybe can make that into something. All right,
I'm so glad
Mrs.
you told it, because I get queasy thinking about it often, and I didn't know you then, and I didn't know anyone that watches this, so I had no one to talk to about it, but it was the weirdest thing you've ever told me.
Yeah, there's still a very strange scar if you want to see it. Just ask me anytime. The feeling, by the way, has totally come back, but there was a time there, and maybe there's a little knob in there. That's weird, but in general, it was kind of gone for a long time, if you recall. All right, Mrs. Ryan, there are a few things we need to get through before our guest today.
Okay.
We go to East Coast Food, TBT, Dave Watch. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, let's very quickly start with some East Coast feeds, shall we? Mm-hmm. Let's go back east, check in with Danbury Chive, and I believe we're Brooke and the Casman. Let's check it out. Roll it out.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, I know you're asking the question, why am I taking an East Coast feed from a bathroom in Manhattan?
Ding,
well,
ding, ding,
I'll
ding,
let
ding,
you know.
ding.
First, I'm representing. 2, we're at the Cypris Hill concert coming up. But 3, look what's on the back wall right behind me, Mr. Ryan. Can you see it?
Hey, Maureen Kino.
Can you see that right there?
Hey.
That's funny.
Boom, it's like right out of your house, but here in Manhattan. Love you guys.
Bathroom.
Coming to you part 2, Cypris Hill concert soon.
All right. Okay. All right, not too bad.
Thanks for upping our
Thank you,
art
Casman.
quota.
Yeah. All right, let's see where we are now. Roll it out.
Mr. and Mrs. Ryan, East Coast Speed coming to you from Brooklyn. Brooke and I and Megan. Brooke, you want to get a shot here? We're leaving the Jadena concert in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Steel. I had a good time, and it was an amazing show. Yeah, and then there's that. Anyway, we love you guys.
Bye.
Oh, that was weird. So those were two different events.
I guess
I thought it was. Oh shit! Good night. I thought. Oh, that's funny. Look at my hair today. My goodness, my hair's living it. Well, it's got it. Hanging on. Whatever. Those were two different events. I didn't realize that. I thought it was the Cypress Hill concert before and after. It seems like he was wearing a different hat. I didn't notice that earlier.
I could barely tell that video was so dark, Cass.
Production value. All right, Mrs. Ryan. It's Thursday. What do we do on Thursday?
TBTs usually. Yeah. Halloween TBT.
Let's go back and see where we are. I don't remember when and where this is. It's a while ago, and it's basically a short film, so hang in there.
Perfect.
Traffic.
There was no thinking, just reacting.
Where
My
was
God.
this, you guys?
All 5 lanes are closed on Highway 5.
Oh,
Yes.
is it mudslide or? Yeah, you came in drive? Yeah. The early arrivals. Fellas, I seem to get Derek's arrival every time.
Power slides today. What So I just read it's not a competition.
But you're gonna try and win, right?
Yeah, right. Follow. Oh my God.
That's Klaus, everybody. We just met him. He came in from Vegas for this.
So last year everybody got one, but nobody looked at it. Everybody took a ride on Decker Canyon. Continue to Mulholland. It's basically like two small routes. We're going up, going back down to PCH, going south, then going back up.
Saturday morning, the Professor Run. Everyone is about to roll out. Safe drive, Professor.
Thank you. To you. You get an A for the semester, by the way.
Nice.
Okay, now. All right, we got it now.
Professor Run, top of Piuma. P-break. Selfie mode.
Such a good selfie. Just want to make sure we got it all.
Get it? Yeah, I think so. Sheldon's leaving, so we wanted to get it in. We're here at Lit. After the Professor Run. It was pretty crazy. Hi, Mrs. Ryan. Ah! We love LA.
Yeah. There it is. What's up, Mrs. Ryan? What do you think of that? You remember all that?
That was forever
Professor
ago.
Run. Yeah, but it was so good. I made a couple notes during that. A lot of people we haven't seen. The Durf Fast guys were there, and the Vegas guys from Gowden. Our friend Derek T was still alive. That was pretty cool to see him there, smiling.
Yeah.
Doing selfie videos and stuff, doing what he loved, hanging out with those guys and tearing it up.
That's a fun day with him for sure.
And you were really walking.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed.
Things have changed.
Yeah, that's all right. Here's what it is.
It's all good,
But,
man.
oh, God, so much love, and thanks to the Professor Run, Mr. the Professor. Ben the Professor. Putting all
Every
that stuff
time I see
together.
that coffee shop, I just think of that one time we ran into Chris, and I
Yeah.
get so distracted.
Chris Rock, yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah.
The Professor run, we have not made the last few of your things, so I hope there's one coming up soon because we want to do it. We miss it, and we miss you. All right, that's it. Mrs. Ryan, what do I have? I think that's about it.
Dave watches, I think. The
I do
only
have a
thing
Dave
left
watch.
on your
I
list.
have the thing is, Paul Kennel from the Auto Kramers sent a. Okay, well, today is the beginning of the Targa Baja, the big Targa Baja, of course. We Live Machinery, Derek's movie, and the whole bit. So those guys have departed. That was going on this morning.
Okay.
So he sent a video way back at 10 a.m. However, it still has not loaded to the iCloud from his side because they're in Mexico, and it's probably just trying really hard. So if this comes through before we air tonight, it'll go into the show maybe during the break.
Okay.
Because it's timely for today. And then we'll say at the end of the show, but we're not going to be here again until the PEC. So this is the only opportunity. Anyway, I wanted to say that. So that may or may not be in there. And you're right, Mrs. Ryan. It is time for the only last thing I have. Yep. It's Dave Watch. Dave Watch 2019. Today is Halloween, October 31st. I'm making an X on this calendar, sponsored by Hunziker, by the way, to denote that Mr. David Letterman is not sitting in that chair today. However, if you've been paying attention, we have been making progress. This has been going on for... All right, 1, 2, 3. So this is the end of 3 months.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, we sort of expected this to take a year. So the fact that we've already you got to Dave's guy, and Dave's guy took it to Dave, that's amazing. So this is in Dave's hands. Maybe we'll see him, maybe we won't. I have a feeling we will. I don't know when that will be.
Yeah.
He's doing other stuff now, too. That's the other thing. I mean, it would have been, whatever. I think it's going to happen. Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind, and I'm sorry for taking so long to get to it. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Yesterday, there was some concern about the Reagan Library over in Simi Valley with
Because
all
of
the
fires,
fires.
yeah.
And so there was a bunch of articles this morning about how it maintained its land and didn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
Everyone's curious.
Oh, not dissimilar to the Getty, I thought. Oh, I know where you're going. Okay. It's a great story. Good for you.
Back in May, they met with the Ventura County fire people, the fire department, blah, blah, and they brought out a bunch of goats to eat the brush.
Yep.
And so they created...
Good old-fashioned lawnmowers.
Yeah, they created their own natural barrier to the fire, and it's all safe. They have a Concorde, like they have an U.S. Air Force.
They have Air Force One, the previous one. That's the one that carried
Yeah.
Kennedy's body.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of important stuff there, so I'm glad they're looking into it. But
Yeah, that was the last one before the one that they fly currently that I believe may or may not get replaced under the current. There are designs currently to change it, but previously there have been just the two. And I think there's a couple of each one. There's not only one Air Force One like it seems like. Also, if you want to get technical, Air Force One is just a designation. It has nothing to do with the actual plane. So whatever plane the president is carrying gets that designation.
It could be.
Yeah, or Marine One, I believe, is the helicopter version.
Well, I hope to go there sometime when it's cooled down in the area.
Yeah, same here. Simi Valley. Our friends are out there too. The Montijos. We sent them messages yesterday. I think they're okay. We've sent messages back, but oh god, it's so scary. We said it on the show yesterday. There's people everywhere.
Everywhere, and new fires are popping up all over the place. So like you really don't know, and
You're not safe anywhere.
Yeah, and no one that I know is being melodramatic and freaking out, but like it's just one of those weird things that is part of your life. So, get a goat.
I love that though. So cool.
Pretty cool.
And such an old school solution. In the old days, that's how you'd keep your yard or whatever.
I love that they're going back. In the San Joaquin Valley, do you know that place?
Probably.
It's in California, but anyway, there's a bunch of reptiles there that are dangerous, and they can't. And the people that the veterinarian type people can't get access to them easily.
There's fires going on there as well, and they need to evacuate.
This
these
has
animals?
nothing to do with that at
okay.
all. I moved on, but just in general, they can't like access these reptiles to find out what they're about and like see what's
just in
going
nature. Just out there in the
Yeah.
oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so like has been done with other animals over the years, dogs are trained to find their poop.
Oh, interesting.
It's called scat, and it's how they find out like DNA and like all the things that are transferred, like their hygiene and their eating habits and all that. So they're finding out a ton of stuff about reptiles now. They didn't used to do this with lizards. It was like bears and stuff. So it's a new way to.
Cool.
It looks like everyone's using nature to study stuff and preserve.
We're going back to
stuff
that. Yeah.
So,
Certainly plant-based diets and things like that. They're noticing how that can have health improvements and things like that.
Yeah, so I'm reading a ton about it because I find it fascinating because I'm naive to all of it. So you can learn with me.
There you go. Also, you never know what's going to help you. Sometimes it's like, you need more cantaloupe in your life. And then all of a sudden you make myelin and we don't know what it's going to be. So may as well keep on trying stuff.
Never know.
Yeah.
Foie gras is being banned in New York, and it will not be sold at supermarkets or in restaurants by 2022.
I read that, but I thought that happened 10 years ago. Was that somewhere else?
In California, in 2012, it was enacted and then rescinded in 2015 and reinstated in 2016 or 17. So it's a conversation everywhere, and it was in New York at one point also.
I am a little naive on this one, not knowing. I don't really remember exactly what it is. Is it liver of some sort? What exactly is it?
Liver of duck or geese. It's fatty liver. And so the problem is really about like animal protectionists and activists are like, to get foie gras, you have to force feed duck and
Right. That's
geese.
what I was. Okay. Yeah. So it's cruel.
It's cruel. It's
cruelty to it,
inhumane, and it's not neat. It's a luxury item. They're
that's a
calling
weird
it, so there's no need for it. So it's fine. It's a delicacy, but like it's not that exciting. So good job, New York, for banning that. No need. And then lastly, for everyone that wants to do something and doesn't know what to do, I think the easiest thing that everyone can do to get involved and to be participatory is vote.
In what? Just in being a better society?
Yeah, if you're starting to think about stuff and you don't know what to do. And
you mean like, hey, I should do my part. I don't know what to do, but I should do my part to contribute to whatever.
Be present, be active, and learn. Like if that's all it is, whatever. YouPorn is going to give you a free premium access if you let them know that you voted November 5th.
YouPorn?
YouPorn.
The porno?
There's
that's amazing.
Lots of ways to get involved.
Incentivize. That's amazing.
It doesn't matter how you vote, just show that you voted, and you can email them. Like they've got a customer service email. Like
that's a riot. That's a riot.
We're all trying to get everyone involved somehow.
Nice connection, sure. Hey, and that's it. What's going on, Mrs. Ryan? Oh, man, you're delightful. All right, we've gone way long, but I think it's good because our guest is ready to come in here. I can see him in there. When we come back right after this, Mr. Tony Callas of Callas Rennsport will be in here. We're going to be talking all about Porsche stuff. Looking forward to it. Can't wait. See a few more to come right after this. You're telling a great story about Wes Anderson, and we're going to come right back to it. We're sitting here with Tony Callas, everybody. Welcome, Tony Callas.
Hi,
I'm
thank
so
you
delighted
so much.
that you're finally here.
You know what I like is that you don't have an obvious camera. It's just you guys don't point it out.
In the beginning, we had the red lights were on, and it would throw people, so I just turned it off. But I know what's going on. And
so I really
hang on. You asked us if we like Wes Anderson.
Absolutely.
And it's because you do. You're a film buff.
Thank you.
And you were saying that sometimes
you like Wes Anderson.
Well, I'm just
guiding somebody.
I'm letting everyone else know how our conversation was going just a moment ago.
The other night, I pulled up the Prada commercial. Have you watched that? The auto racing Prada commercial in Italy. Of course, it looked like it was Spain because of the colors of the flags. But Wes Anderson has a really unique way of telling a story. And you can tell when you're watching a Wes Anderson film because of the way it's filmed, right?
Yeah, generally.
And, whether it be...
The cartoony look to it.
Yeah, Rushmore or more or less. But it's just the way, the way it's framed and... whatnot. I have a limited amount of space to move over here. So,
do you feel confined right now?
No, I'm good.
Are you not comfortable? I want
I'm actually.
I want you to be
I feel like I'm in the cockpit.
Should I take some stuff back and make more room for you?
Indy car.
Do you feel really tucked in over there?
I feel good.
Okay. I want you to be most comfortable. That's my major concern because none of this will be good if you're not comfortable.
It's a good temperature. I feel good. I'm a mechanical person.
I'm going to
Look
keep
at all
going
of
here
those
then.
details,
All right,
please.
Tony Callas is the owner of Callas Rennsport, which is a very reputable Porsche shop here
Thank you.
in Los Angeles area. Are you actually in? Is it I don't
Proper?
wanna say- yeah, is it Torrance? I don't want to say the wrong
It's
thing.
Torrance.
It is Torrance. Okay.
It is Torrance, and I know Facebook. I don't put pretty much where I live in El Segundo, and I don't put certain things. But Torrance, and there's a long story to that.
To Torrance?
No,
to why you're there?
Why I'm there in Callas Rennsport. Not that everybody wants to hear it, but I think we can get out of the.
Let's hear it.
I don't want to say get out of the car thing a little bit, but it's about the people. And I watched Racing in the Rain last night, which I loved it being about the people and the animals, the dog and the zebra. And it was a great movie. And I love when they include the human factor in it.
Yeah.
I think Charles and Ray Eames were huge on that one. And
I had no idea you were an appreciator of mid-century stuff until you arrived here and then started pointing at things.
Was blown away when I saw your Eames chair so much. And
but in the Prince, and you didn't know about the Eames house and all that stuff as well. So, but you're an appreciator and have always been.
Yeah, 901. Yeah, this.
Hang on, I was always into the Eames when I was a kid, and then we were living in Venice. We were living in Venice on Broadway. And that's not the one in Santa Monica. There's a tiny little street that connects with Abbot Kinney. Mm-hmm. And Abbot Kinney used to be Washington Boulevard before they were renamed and blah, 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 blah. Abbot Kinney was the guy, so they just named it after him as a tribute. 901 was the Eames office, the original Eames office, where all that stuff was thought up and crafted. And to me, it was a couple blocks down the street. Like I could go. It wasn't like I just found out it and it's in Wheeling, Michigan, where Herman Miller is and the whole thing. And I'd one day make a pilgrimage and I could ride a bike or walk if I wanted to.
Isn't that neat?
And very cool.
We know 901 was the original 911, and there are a lot of people that fought that, kind of like the horse people that laughed at the automotive people and things like this and that. I really like to go back. Yeah. What is that? So noisy. What? All of this started because my father was in cars.
There you go.
In the end, I had to find a way to make my own path. And I don't want to say prove that I could do it on my own, but it was prove that I could do it on my own because when you grow up around that, I can't imagine what it's like for people that are in film and, they have a famous last name and then they have to try to be different, right? And
to make their own path or whatever.
Riding on the coattails of their parents or their ancestors. Exactly. And so what I did was I said, okay, I don't know, I was young, 14 or something, and working in a bug shop. And eventually, by the time I was 16, I said, okay, I'm going to move to California. And everybody looked at me. A lot of people.
Where are you from?
Good point. Thank you. I left that out.
I
grew up
don't
in
know
Houston,
why I always
Austin.
assumed here.
Houston, Austin area. No, I'm a Texan.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank
last night.
you. No, everybody, it's the steer. Go ahead.
No, I don't know anything about baseball, but I saw the paper this morning.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not a good one right now. I thought you were just talking about coming from Texas and how you're
sorry for your loss last night. Yes, the Nationals beat the Houston
you know what, guys?
Oilers?
Nationals?
No, all right, whatever.
Well, I don't watch... My family, people in Texas are going to be like, what has happened to him? I don't really watch sports. Honestly, I don't even watch auto racing. It's too difficult for me. But if you really want to know, I know they're going to be like when I didn't eat meat for 10 years. And they're like, I don't want to sound wrong. Yeah. They're like, he's gay. He's dirty.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm okay. What if I was?
In the backyard,
let's just go
sure.
with it. Yes, we did. We had 2 horses. The whole thing. My dad had a Porsche shop. We were 60 miles outside of Houston. Another 10 miles outside of that town. I was busting to get out of there.
Your dad's shop was in Houston.
Well,
so you wanted to branch out from that.
It started in Austin. Thank you so much, because I have ADD, and it helps to have somebody like him around. So
I'm just trying to follow, because I find it very interesting, and I want to get it right for everybody.
Well, we could go back further. My mother was a war baby in Germany. And I'm not kidding. I mean, she taught me all about the war and what it's like to be free in this country and how proud we should be. And I watched her, as I was in the 3rd grade, go through her citizenship. So I relate a little bit different to a lot of people here. First of all, we all belong here. And, of course, my
or none of us do. You can't do.
Or none of us do.
It's one or the other.
Well, you know what I learned the other day? Okay, thank you. I was reading a book. I like Common Sense by Thomas Paine, and about not letting the king get too strong and not letting our government get too strong. But I was listening, and do you know where American Indian actually came from, the term? I didn't know this. It was...
I thought it was in the 80s because I remembered that. I thought I remembered that.
I'm sorry.
No, because there was Indian and then there was
years,
American.
And if I laugh,
Indian.
I'm not laughing at you. I laugh.
Do you remember Good Will Hunting? It was dots, not feathers. Like that was a joke they made, and not even a joke. It was more of an explanatory.
Years ago, when okay, this is going to sound stupid. The dude was coming over on the boat. He missed America totally, and he ended up in India. He thought he was in America, and he was, this is America, and it was we're Indians. So then when he came here, it was American Indians. So that's where he got totally thrown off by his chart, and his destination instead of America and the New World ended up over in India.
And he
thought they were,
Columbus?
No, it was somebody else. I think it was Columbus was a Spaniard, and this was an Italian, right?
I can't remember the story. I think he was a Spaniard, but he got his money from the Italians to do it. He was Italian.
That was a whole.
He was Italian because that's why it's an Italian-American celebration thing.
And the king's wife, and
I think he got the money from Spain.
I really shouldn't have opened that that can of worms.
I can't believe we went there. Anyway, when he got here,
so that's the whole.
And that's
American
how a bill
Indian
becomes a law.
So. Sorry, I do that. And you know what? You can't worry about not being I can't know everything.
You have so much stuff going on in your life at any given time.
Well,
it doesn't
that in my head
surprise me that you're fragmented.
You know what? I haven't told people this, but when I was in the first grade, I'm trying. It's difficult. No, really. My desk was in the first grade out in the hallway because I was so fragmented and whatnot. But I was born in the U.S., yes. But my first 5 years were in Germany, so I am all over the map. But I've learned to kind of harness a lot of this energy, and that's where the racing and whatnot. When my mother came over with my father as a GI, he was working in a Ford place in a dealer, and they came in and they said, and this sounds so bizarre, but I heard this straight out of my father's mouth. He goes, a guy from Volkswagen came in basically poaching and said, would you like to work off your toolbox, work cleaner, work smarter, make more money? And he's, sure, yes.
No, thank you.
Yeah. No, we don't
Go on to this guy.
Here in
Kick rocks,
Texas. So... That's where I'm from, by the way. That
Texas,
that whole mentality. Needless to say,
I see your point. Fundamentally,
and I don't want to say anything about anybody there because that's where I learned the basic morals and everything in my life. But I had to get out, so I was in this small town in Texas of 1,300 people.
That's tiny.
Yeah, I'm not proud of this, but I quit high school. I just walked out and I said, "Okay, I'm going to California."
Rude, what were you getting out of that high school?
Well,
really? I mean, it was a.
I don't want to say it, but okay, I'll tell you what I was getting out of it. About 10 years ago, I called because I was determined to get my high school diploma the right way, not even a GED. I want to get my diploma. I'm sorry, Mr. Callas, there's no way we could put you next to a 16-year-old. That wouldn't be right. I'm like, listen, I don't want to be next to a 16-year-old. I want to go through the study.
Just do the tests, yeah. Workbooks and
worlds of experience after that. I've gone to college. I have, you name it. I mean, I have a PhD in Porsche repair, a doctorate.
This is solely for you.
And she kept repeating the same thing. And if you ever talk to anybody, it's like a circular conversation, and you're like, you know what I said to her? I remember why I left. And I was like, okay, bye.
Going down the checklist.
Yeah,
this is what you say when they say
yes,
that.
Exactly. That's what she was doing.
They literally have books with like tabs.
Like a telemarketer, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Give me a second.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're like, are you still there? No, but this is a landline, so you must be there. Well, you got to realize I grew up in this small town. I was a defensive. I'm not a big guy. I'm what, 5'8"? So like a question.
Yeah.
And I played football.
Mrs. Ryan, ding, 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 ding.
I played football, and I was a defensive end and tight end. You're not going to believe this. We won state. Eric Dickerson was on our team. You've ever heard of him? He's a pro football player. He played for the Rams. That's why we won state. Yes. Yeah.
They're
not African Rams. Yeah,
no, they were somewhere else for a long time.
Middle Eastern
they're back to LA.
Rams. Yes.
St. Louis.
They're
Weren't they
back.
the St. Louis
Eric
Rams?
Dickerson's famous, and so I
sorry.
wasn't first string. I was.
We had Roy Firestone here
Second.
yesterday. I don't know anything about sports.
Is this the one, the vineyard?
Oh my
guy?
God! See, you're perfect. Okay, please continue. You don't know him either. Great.
So I said to everybody, I'm leaving. I'm going to go to California, and nobody believed me. Did I totally miss something? I must
You're
have.
so awesome. You are so
So,
awesome. I'm
No.
watching you handle me, and it's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
So basically, I said I'm leaving, and a lot of my friends, I didn't even know it at the time. They were all like, "He's coming back. He's not going to make it." So because people don't leave a small town, they're captive.
Well,
we
and they
know.
don't make it.
prisoners of a small town. What? You're from a you?
Not as
what?
small as you, but
The town, you mean?
yeah. You're the town.
It's a town of small people.
We're not all
And,
5'8".
Thank you. And
They
so
didn't believe
I
you would
got in
go.
I rebuilt the engine in my convertible Beetle. I duct taped the top because there was no top on it. Duct taped it closed. I rented a U-Haul. I put my toolbox in the U-Haul. I had Porsche, VW, BMW, and Audi factory training. And
Whoa.
I just said I'm moving to California. And the only request of my German mother was, "Don't move to Los Angeles because you will get shot." And I'm like, okay, because I didn't care.
What
it was
year
like
was
Los
this?
Angeles, San Diego, 84.
84.
So Los Angeles, San Diego.
Beverly Hills Cop that year. This was a nice place to be, I thought. You know what I mean? From
Yeah,
what the movies were
smog
telling
was the
me
worst
about
thing you
Los
could think of,
Angeles at the
right?
time, yeah.
So San Antonio, San Diego, LA. I'm like, and honestly, I didn't care. I just wanted to get. So I figured, you know what? I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to take the 10. This was my goal. This was the only plan I had, and I'm going to get on the 8 because that's where I have to go, San Diego now. And I've never been to San Diego. I didn't know anybody there, and I'm like, okay, when I hit the water, I'm there. I swear to God, that was my goal. And so
You're using
that's my
that
plan. It was a
that-
one-sentence plan,
It's
right?
the explorer plan. I'm going to
Hey, it
go
worked.
until I hit the land. Oh, until the
And
water.
It was a tough story. I mean, the car was fine until in the middle of the desert. Swear to God.
Might have been
And it
DeSoto we were
died.
thinking of before.
Minnesota?
Might have been DeSoto, this explorer we were thinking of before. No? All right.
No, but it'll come to me.
Okay.
I hope probably in a year or so.
Sorry to stall. Go ahead.
So seriously, the car died in the middle of the desert, pitch
Oh.
black. There weren't towns like there are now, pretty much spanning the whole thing. You know, they're connecting the dots. And I was crying. It was pitch black outside. I'm alone, and I'm like, I'm going to get eaten by something out here.
They were right. I'm not going to make it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an Amelia Earhart, and basically,
Oh
the
my
car will be
God,
gone.
totally.
Coyotes will have my bones, and
looking.
basically, and then so it started. I was praying, and it started, and I can see the lights of the mountains coming up. And the very first song I heard was Sade's Smooth Operator.
Wow.
No, it's Halloween. So Strange Operator.
right.
But I heard the song thinking that's California music because I didn't know. I was into non-commercial
very
radio
chill
in
and
Houston,
vibe, yeah.
Rice Radio. I don't know if you know Rice University. I was totally anti-institutional. I was totally not with anything mainstream. That's as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old who
Nonconformist.
would be that. That's
Right.
me.
Sure.
And because all I did was I spent years in my room. I was painfully shy. No, ever. I wouldn't even walk across the street at a street light where the people were sitting there looking at you in their cars.
man.
I wouldn't do that. And I
'Cause you're
forced
on stage.
myself
My
to
goodness. I can't wait to figure out
Stop.
why you have all that.
So basically, I went over the mountains and into San Diego, and I said it was Ocean Beach, which isn't a terribly lavish town by any means, and I by any stretch of the
I don't
means.
know it. It sounds nice.
And it's a beach town.
Okay.
It's totally beach, and I was a surfer in Texas. That's why I was going to California. Streets of gold, beautiful
man.
girls, cars, all of that. So I drove till the water because that was the goal. I'm totally freaky because I have to. That's why I freaked out about coming here because I didn't get the email. I'm like, what am I going to do? And last night I was freaking out. And I sent you 14 messages on Facebook Messenger. I'm like, and you ever do that? You ever watch Singles, the movie? And he keeps calling the girl and he's like hanging up. You ever watch that? And he left her so many messages.
Swingers. Yes.
Swingers.
Swingers for sure.
And great movie. And that was me last night, right? And you must have thought I was crazy, but because every 30 seconds I'd send another message. I'm okay. No,
I would
I'm
have
wait, I'm
answered
not-
if I was awake. I was asleep at
Isn't that a cool word?
8:30.
Awake?
Sure.
It doesn't always mean that for people.
No.
Their eyes are open. So I got to the end of the road where Sunset Cliffs is, and I'm like, okay, I can't live here. So I went back to Ocean Beach. I'm like, this is where I'm going to live. And I went back a few miles to Hotel Circle. I lived in a hotel for 3 nights. I mean, I was a kid. Wow. And you don't have any fear as a kid, right?
No.
And I found a job at a bug shop in El Cajon, and I worked there. And, okay, so one day, this is all over a period of a few months, so we're not talking much time. I came up to L.A. to visit a friend of my father's named Adrian Gang. His shop was called Edelweiss, like the
flower?
Austrian flower.
Like the Edelweiss?
The song? Yes, the song. Oh, yeah, I'm like, yes, originating with the flower in the Austrian Alps, way up.
My life knowledge comes from film.
We're gaining knowledge now. And
it's a flower first. Arborvitae.
And
I know that from Sound of Music, so.
Me too, yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Okay, good. Then I'm.
Well, I mean, not everybody, but in America, in the U.S.
Yeah.
So basically, I drove up in my bug, and I got to tell you, the first time I came up to Adrian's place, and this is quite ironic, and coincidental, ironic, and kind of, I always try to figure out the difference in those two. But I'm coming through the parking lot where there's speed bumps, and my floor fell out of the bug. So I'm driving the bug, and I can barely see over, and I'm pulling up to Adrian's shop, and he's laughing. And believe it or not, that's where my shop is now. I worked for Adrian for 8 years. I got to go back a little bit and tell you a story.
Well, but hang on. But just wrapping that up, that's why you're in Torrance. You're in
that's
the
what
same
I was trying to get
location.
At. That's what I was trying to get
That's amazing.
at.
So
I'm in Torrance because I didn't pick Torrance.
So when you came out here in '84 and you got that job pretty quickly?
Immediately.
And you've
Adrian,
you've only worked one place in California.
No, there
was a gap. Sure.
I have to explore and get out with jobs, and so basically,
just like school. I get it.
I had
you get
to
bored
leave.
easily?
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
I do.
Totally get it, yeah.
Strange word, too, right? Bored. How the American language, the U.S., I don't know. So I always think about everything that goes on. You know, the texture of your desk here, the temperature, your place is amazing. I didn't expect to look left and see a studio when I walked into your house. This is neat.
Otherwise, we would come to you. If we didn't have this, we would have come to you sooner.
Okay, gotcha.
Seriously.
So 5th grade, back up a little bit, Austin, Texas. Father has a Porsche shop.
Bit. 5th grade.
Just a little. 1970, he opened up a Porsche shop there called Targa Porsche Workshop. Oh, yeah, you're right. So I got thrown off a little bit. He was working for Volkswagen. He ended up being an amazing person there because he was a district service rep. Now, you got to realize Volkswagen isn't just Volkswagen. It's VOA, Volkswagen of America, who brought the Porsches over and imported the Porsches. Right? Yes.
Later.
Volkswagen of America still for many years. And he worked, then we lived in San Antonio. But what the deal was, he was a district service rep. My father would travel around and help dealerships repair cars, repair Porsches. So
because of his expertise?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have these cross pens from when my father worked there with the Porsche crests on them. And when I was in the 5th grade, I was working in my closet. I had this shop set up in there, and I would build models and charge kids in school to build models. At that time, and this is kind of important, I made a goal to open my own business by the time I was 30. I looked at where my father was, because you don't know what age is. I don't know when,
What's a timeline? What's a timestamp?
I wouldn't have any clue, especially me.
Especially as a kid, though. You've got all the time in the world. You can make anything
grade,
happen whenever.
What are you, 12? I have no idea how old you are.
It's close.
10?
10.
10, yeah. No, not 12. And I made a goal to own my own business by the time I was 30. So when I came out here and when I'm working for Adrian, I told him that. And he's like, sure, because it's years down the road. Yeah. Well, when it came within a year, it got weird. And
between you two?
Mm-hmm. So he was still, we're good friends.
Because you had your goals, and now he's getting close to
I had
saying
my
goodbye.
goals, and nobody ever expects that. And now Adrian, well, we moved to another location, and then when I opened up where we used to be. But Adrian doesn't really work for the public any longer with his Porsche shop. He takes care of one particular guy's cars. comedian, JS maybe,
That
and so
I didn't know any of that story. I mean, this is, we're so, relatively speaking, we're so new in the Porsche community that there's so much
really?
stuff that I
would
don't
never
make fun
have
of me.
known. I'm not. Did I?
That there's so much knowledge
feel
that
that
you
way.
all
I'm
have
not- I'm not
that
doing
we're
that.
still collecting.
I love that about people and being fully transparent, and so that's what I do now. I mean, over the last 15 years, I've decided to be fully transparent and talk about how I quit high school. And hey, look, judge me if you may, but you know what?
But I'm square.
But I am.
That's what it is.
This
yeah.
is where this is who I am.
Yep.
And
Square with
about
the universe.
10 years ago, and you may think this is the easiest thing in the world. It's very, very difficult. I looked at myself and I made a pact to never lie about anything. And I'm not saying mistakes happen. And my mother being the war baby that she was, she learned to be happy in life. And she goes, that's just a white lie, Anthony. And so I was named after Anthony Quinn. She thought he was Greek.
You're kidding me.
Complete
He
mistake.
was Greek.
No,
He always played a Greek.
He's Mexican.
He always
I know.
played a Greek.
That's why she thought my dad's Greek, and she's like,
He was
"You're named
incredible.
after
I love
Anthony."
that actor.
Should have heard the day she found out he wasn't Greek. It just blew her mind.
You blew my mind. I'm
So,
with your mother.
Anna Marie. So she.
So what about Aiden Quinn? Same
she
thing.
taught me all kinds of things. Let me tell you, 7 years old, I go to her, Mom, why is there one God if there's so many religions? She cut straight always. She goes, Anthony, that's because religion's man-made to suit their own needs. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, at some same period, I asked her all questions every day. I said, should I be a policeman or a fireman? Because that was the thing, right? And she
Going
goes,
into a service? To be in the service?
Yes.
Service.
To service people,
Yeah.
yes. And she goes, Anthony, do what you love and then the money will follow. So I just followed cars, followed Porsches. Obviously, my dad did. Now, I'm coming full circle to tell you why I had to get out here too, because I wanted to prove to everybody and myself, everybody that knew me and that knew my father, because he's fairly well known or was in Texas. And he started a shop in '74. We moved to another part of Austin called it Rennsport Porsche Works. Nobody knew what that was back then. A lot of people don't know what that is now. Rennsport. What is this? Oh, it's track and field, run. And they're like, and then it's racing, and they're totally confused. Every time I tell somebody, they're like, huh? And that's why I had to move out here to prove totally a clean slate that I could do this without my father's help. My father's shop's still there in Sealy. He passed away, and his ex-wife's running it, and they do their own thing. It's a really sensitive story, but it's still all in business and all my father's tools. And
that's
I'm not
neat.
talking. It's funny you say that's neat, because my
To
father
me,
was a clean freak.
Oh.
I know. He was a total freak. Have you ever watched, I went to 25 years of therapy to deal with that. I pulled my first engine out of a Porsche when I was a young kid, and he comes and gets me. He wasn't home. I tried to please him. And he comes and gets me out of bed at 1 a.m. and he goes, good job, but go out and clean the oil off the floor. And when I mean oil, I'm talking 2 drips of oil, the dirt, and put the tools away. And that's how he left it.
Well, but to me, that's when the job would be done.
Is it getting too sensitive? To talk
No.
about these
My
things?
point is, I'm agreeing with your. It seems like I align much more with your parents.
Isn't it fun?
No. I
Side.
love.
Oh yes, on this side,
I love that you're the sum of all of this good stuff that I align
lots
with.
of unique stuff.
Well, stuff that I align with that I wouldn't have when I was younger, but now what I consider, the adult who has not life figured out, but more so than I did when I was young. I find these tidbits in people's stories, and I'm like, oh, that's what I believe now, or that's how I am now. And
We are the same. We can't judge our parents, and that brings me back to what I was saying about not lying. It's so easy when you're late somewhere and go, hey, the traffic sucked, or because it could hurt somebody's feelings if you tell them the truth. And, in the end, it's better to just... This is very difficult, especially owning a shop, an auto shop, when you could easily say, we're waiting on a part, and you're so behind, and you've had their car forever. And I've done it because you don't want to lose a customer. Excuse me. And you want to make sure that you do what you can to make sure they're okay. But you know what? In the end, it's not worth it. So I'm trying to live a clean life. And now that's been going on for about 10 years. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I never want to go there. 2 years ago, I've decided that I don't want to judge anybody. And you may say, oh, that's easy. He must be a real dick.
So
you know
difficult.
what? It's not easy.
It's a struggle.
Because it's so easy to look at somebody walking out of a house down on the Esplanade by the beach and go, oh, maybe they're not happy. Or somebody that's out there riding that bike that's 300 pounds. You need to realize that they're out there and that everybody has their plight, and we all have struggles, and we're no different. No matter what you think, we're no different. And then it's so easy to look at somebody like a friend of mine. What's that?
From each other. We're no different from each other.
We're no different from each other.
Yes, I agree.
A friend of mine came to me and he goes, Tony, I have prostate cancer. And I was like, I think I've told you the story at the Malibu market. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. And words that don't mean anything. But I'm convinced as humans, we have no idea what it's like to go through something unless we've been through it. And people have argued with me about this, but like I've broken bones. So if I see somebody with a cast or has been through this, I know what they feel like.
Yes.
But otherwise, when you tell me what you're going through, I have no clue. And it's so, like, employees get sick and somebody has a cold. Well, I know what that feels like, but it's hard to look at them and go, well, they seem okay. And so sorry to kind of lump everything up into one big conversation.
This is
but
fantastic.
To finish off what I was saying, I was visiting Adrian up at his shop that weekend. My seat fell out of my car. And I'm driving up, dragging the ground. And it's a little 4-bay shop. Nobody knew Adrian. His father was Martin Gang, a famous entertainment lawyer. James Garner would come by on the weekends. Adrian grew up racing on Mulholland in an NSU.
Goodness.
An NSU. And then 911, a 67 911, and then he moved into IMSA racing. And so this is where I wanted to be, a true Porsche shop. So I left this out, but working in a bug shop in Sealy, the small town, where we worked on Chevrolets and MGs and Toyotas, that's where I learned. I didn't learn from my father. My father had so little patience that he would try to explain something for 3 minutes and then he would blow up and just go do this. Everybody thought that I learned from my father. I didn't really learn. I was around the Porsches for many years, but it was at that bug shop when I moved there when I was 14 that I learned from Don and Harold Carr everything I needed to learn about screwing bolts in and tightening things and what wrenches and tools to use to make sure you don't over-tighten things. And
fundamentals and technique.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not born with this, but there's a certain thing, and I don't talk about this because it's really unusual. There are things I didn't go to auto mechanics in school. There are things I don't know, just
downloaded.
It was just there. Somebody handed me an AC gauge set when I was 12, and
universal knowledge was downloaded to you, and you go,
somehow
I know it.
You know what it reminds me of is when a famous singer says, "The words just came to me." And it's like it's funneled through some track from somewhere.
You're open to it, though. That's an artist mentality. That's more of a creative
Oh, that's
mentality.
interesting. My mother had weird.
Your
she
mother,
read all kinds
your
of
mother,
things. Yeah,
your mother.
I got to talk
was
about
so
her.
in tune. I can tell you already. Your mother was so in tune. I'm guessing probably from her life experience, having gone
she
through
was
the
an
war
old
in
soul.
Germany.
Yeah,
And
right.
maybe
and
she was an
her
old soul
father
before
carry
that.
out bombs out of the house.
Just being alive and what you were talking about, being aware and around your father, you didn't really learn from. Like you can't not take in that type of trauma.
When you're
you can't,
exactly.
You learn
you can't avoid
something.
it. You can't avoid it.
And she's like, Anthony, we're so proud to be here. I was in 3rd grade, and she's like, we're free, and this country, and she taught me all about the flag and everything she had to
that
learn.
grateful mentality.
Isn't that what I just talked about this to somebody 2 days ago? If you come from an attitude of gratitude, it's everything. Oh, it was the Collier Museum. I was talking to those guys. They want me to come and speak there. And Sandy.
Nice plug.
Oh.
No, that was good.
Sorry,
That was
thanks.
very natural. It was good.
And they're great
The Collier
people.
They want me to come and speak there, and you're going to do that. We were going to plug
Eventually. I'll
ahead.
That'll be
build
fun.
up
Go
to
ahead.
get to that 5 years or so. What do you
Great.
I don't know when I can prep myself. I'm sorry it's taken so long to come here. This is not easy to sit down and be fully transparent. So
I can't imagine you being any one place for this long, quite frankly. Because, between the hour and being here, you're here for an hour and a half. And anytime I've ever seen you, I've never seen you in one place for that long. Let us know if you got to get up and burn off some energy.
I've tried to regain some of my soul. So now I'm in the shop working Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays I leave. I don't mean to plug anything, but I joined something called the Motoring Club. Have you heard of them?
They're fantastic.
Yeah, their stickers right there.
They're great
and
guys.
Michael is one of the greatest guys. We met him on a whim one day at a
it
car
is
show,
there.
and we support them fully.
You know what?
Fully,
it's a neat place. And snickered
do
at
neat
the whole
things.
thing early on before I even went. They do. You know why I joined? I kept thinking, oh, I don't want to be around people. I really am kind of a loner, and I do my own thing. Even though I speak to a lot of people, and I speak in front of crowds of 100 to 200 people, and all of that, that's a Tony that's different than this Tony, and then the Tony that hears voices. No, no, but I went there because I write for 000 magazine. You know 000.
Of course, Pete Stout's been
what
here,
an
of
amazing
course.
person. Oh,
Incredible.
he has.
Yeah, sure.
He's
And
a
Rebecca.
lovely guy.
Not her, but
And,
just him.
His wife, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
And all those guys, Alex and you name it. But I write for them, and they had a 000 event at the Motoring Club, and I'm like, I'm going to go. I don't want to say I fell in love with it, but I was there going, this is where I can go. And people are like, why don't you work at home? I want to get away from home. I want to get away from the shop and sit there and just do my own thing. And you don't have to talk to anybody.
They've created the coffee shop vibe
Yes.
for our people.
That's what I was telling people.
For
It's like
writers,
the
it's
Starbucks for the
Starbucks.
car
For
people.
students, it's Coffee Bean, whatever
So
the heck.
I'm not the originator of that. Okay. So that's what they did. And
They've done a great thing, and I'm so happy for how well that they applied it all. You know what I mean?
And it's not too fancy.
That's kind of what I mean. It's to me, it's just perfect.
You smell fuel when
And
you
Michael
go in
Peretti,
sometimes, or
such credit to you, sir.
I'm with you with those guys, and one of them's a racer, right? And
I don't know him, but yes, I think one of the partners is a racer.
Oh,
so
that makes sense.
So you joined the motoring
So had
club.
to have
So
a
that's what you're
goal.
doing on Fridays now.
yes, that's what maybe.
Do you
I
ever
don't
take
know
a drive?
anybody
Do
to
you ever
know
take a
that.
drive?
I forgot that this is I feel like I'm talking to you. You guys are awesome, and then now I realize all of a sudden there might be a camera. I take a drive. I have a '69 911 that I take out. It's got 45,000 miles, and that cleanses my soul too. As you know, the feeling. And the one thing that drives me crazy is the parking brake light comes on every once in a while, and then it's a 4-speed. I can fix that, but you know what, guys? I know nothing about stocks, so I collect cars. That's all I know what to do, and I've been fortunate there. I don't have much to show. Went through a pretty nasty divorce about.
Hang on, I was trying to get you
4
to
years
Breakfast
ago?
Club. That's why I was asking about Fridays. If you ever take a drive, you should come up sometime. If you
Oh,
feel like it.
okay. I'm sorry.
It's all the way
Just
up at
take and
Newcomb's.
run with it.
Up at Newcomb's Ranch, up on the 2.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, we do it every Friday.
Oh wait, Dave Heenan, one of my good customer friends,
He's
is
there every week.
Yeah. Love that
I like
guy.
those
Love
guys.
Dave and Betty.
Aren't they neat? Because
Wonderful
they're
people.
real. You
Yeah.
need
That's it,
to, you know what?
authentic.
I won Le Mans in 01. I came back and I won Mechanic of the Year.
Congratulations. Yes,
That's huge.
that's a serious deal.
You know what? There's a
Congratulations.
lot of luck involved, but then there's arguments about that. So
I don't
basically,
care. It's an accolade regardless. There's
Thank
no
you.
asterisk for me.
hey, you said it.
Jerk.
It's not a lot of people that know how to say it. So basically, me or
I got there.
No, I didn't mean it that way. So I'm walking through Houston's, and one of my customers used to be, I won't mention any names, he was the manager for Clint Eastwood. And this was
Just job titles.
2001. And he saw me, and I was worn out, right? I had just flown back from Europe, and he goes, Tony, how are you? 'Cause I
Oh,
used
right
to work
off the
on a
whim.
Porsche
Right off
for
the
him.
whim. Okay.
And I was like, I'm okay. And I just came back from Le Mans, and I won Le Mans. And it's a saying that drives me crazy. He goes, good for you. I was like, F you. Because it's a saying in the city, right? In L.A., it's like, good for you.
Well,
and some people mean it well. Diane, my
It's-
girlfriend, she's like, they don't all mean it that way.
It's translated for another GFY a lot of times. It's a very polite way to say,
Right. No, and
Go
and
take
so
off.
I'm in my head too much. So then I overthink this stuff, right?
I can see that even talking to
So-
you, that you are constantly analyzing yourself.
Everything.
You don't have to do that here.
Okay.
Promise.
I don't know how I would be if I didn't. So the problem is, you see people that seem so poised and so together. And I really feel I know myself better than most, especially after, like I said, 25 years of therapy, man. You learn so much stuff. And I try to utilize all of that information. But this is who I am. There's no hidden Tony. And I said this to somebody the other day, a good friend of mine. I said to her, people have ulterior motives, and they have all these things that they want from you when they're talking to you, and they watch what they say. There's no filter. There's no filter here. And it doesn't work well with women. Like in my marriage, the one saying was, I don't care. Like trying to be easy.
Yeah.
Don't ever say that.
I know. We think we're helping. This is
Yeah, I thought
this
I
is a
was
rookie
giving
mistake in
up
marriage.
something.
This is a rookie mistake in relationships. We think we're helping.
Yeah, by
we really
saying,
do.
"I
Yes,
don't
I'm
care."
open to anything, whatever you want, honey.
Yeah, right. Wait,
It
you
goes
don't
both
care.
ways. They do the same thing,
And-
and neither one really wants it. But you have to grow comfortable with one another. This is what we found anyway for us, was we had to grow comfortable with one another to a place where you can just be yourself. And
Isn't
some
that the best
people in the
relationship
beginning of
there is?
relationships, they're pretending to be someone else for the betterment of the relationship. Usually, oh, I hope I want
That's
them to
false
like me.
advertising.
It is.
I
It's a
learned
version
that
of
from my
lying.
therapist.
But I
Yeah.
didn't feel that way when I used to do it. I didn't ever look
Well,
at
we've
it.
all done it
I didn't
because
ever
we
look at
all
it.
try to be the person that we think they want us to be, right? Whether it's when you're making out in the
Well, you want
as a
people to like.
15-year-old
You
in
want
the
people to
car
have a
or
good
a
idea of
impression
who
of
you are.
Well, because you
Absolutely.
don't have a belief in yourself yet. That's where I'm finally at, where I don't care. I mean, I
huge.
care. Here we go again. I care, but what I'm sharing with you guys is just who I am, and it's not about being. Like, I don't want to just sit here to hear myself talk. I'm talking to just try to. I want to help somebody. I just want to help other people out there now. And I learned it from a good friend of mine, Nick Cerullo, who used to work at Bentley Publishers. I went and spoke there in Cambridge too, and he said, "Tony, lift your skirt. Be fully transparent. Show them what you're made out of." And do you know where that came from? That came from teaching and saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to give up everything I've learned. I'm going to tell everybody everything I've learned." But it's turned out, I swear to God, to be. It's a full circle. It comes back. The universe will bring it back to you.
But it feels counterproductive.
It
I have
does.
amassed this knowledge. This is now my value. How can I then give it away? That's exactly what you're supposed to do. That's how the
what you're
whole
supposed
thing
to. It's
keeps
love.
working.
It's the same as love. I don't want to sound
I think there's
weak.
there's been a lot of, maybe call it decades, where that wasn't necessarily the driving force in people in the world, maybe in our country, I'll say. And I feel
You're right.
that with things that are going on lately, people are starting to look at it, and I feel like maybe starting to go back that way. And now I feel
I
like
hope you're right, because there's got to be an end. I don't want to bring this up, but to the war and to everything that, because we know, all of us know, it doesn't lead to anything, especially when it's about religion, which is something that's just a belief system for most people. Okay, I'm going to back out of that. And I want to tell you, I was in Toronto last weekend, and I teach Porsche mechanics. Okay, let's see. In 2007, I quit racing. Pretty much trickled out in 2009, but in 2007, I quit racing, and it was just so tough because my father raced, and I did that, and then I went away from it, and then, can I go into this? Is that
yeah,
cool?
yeah. And then we'll get to the books.
Please.
You know what I'm saying?
And then 87 and
Go right into
88, I went back into race cars. Before I moved to California, I worked in American Indy Series as a mechanic and on the Craco Indy car. And I worked in the Trans Am Series. And then I left and I moved to California and opened my business. The reason why I work on BMWs, I didn't think I was going to be busy enough on Porsches.
Wow.
And so that's
Can
why
you-
we take them.
That's amazing.
I didn't know. I didn't know who's going to come.
Of course.
It's a ball field thing, you know?
Yes.
And but they showed up. And I think they see when somebody's transparent and real and trying to do their best. Hey, we make our share of mistakes, man. You know, the other day, this is so embarrassing. I wear an apron, and the freaking fan just sucked it in. Thank God it didn't suck it in. It just, right on the fan of the 911, but there's so much air going in. It happens. Nobody's perfect. And instead of looking around going, I hope nobody saw me trip on that little sidewalk.
Oh, gosh.
Ding.
Yep.
You're like, oh, well, guys, this happens to everybody. So 87, 88, I worked in racing, moved to California. 8 years later, I opened my own business. So the way I look at it, which totally blows my mind, about 10 years after quitting high school, I opened my own business in another state, and I'm not trying to boast or brag here. I'm no different than anybody else. Bless you.
Excuse me, sorry.
Don't apologize, dude. It's going to
Pardon me.
happen. And you know what I dig? I dig that you had a real sneeze. It's something like...
Why stifle it?
It hurts me
It's
when
real-
I see somebody
real and
do
honest.
that.
Yeah.
But you covered it up. I'm
in the
really
shirt.
good. Usually when I'm in a car with somebody and I sneeze, I even roll the windows down a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, hey, this is a personal thing. I don't want
I do that
you
with
to.
some things.
So, it's about caring about other
kidding.
people.
Our windows
yeah,
are-
right.
our
no.
windows are always
You gotta-
down.
Just a little bit creates the most vacuum.
We have they're always down for us.
So, it happens. You know what? You're protein matter. You're this organic thing, like we call race car drivers meat bags. They're just,
Meat bags driving your technology, right? Riding around in your technology.
we don't go that far. We call them spacers, but I like to joke about things, and people take it so seriously, right? But okay, I moved to California.
Some people do.
Got a business, opened a business, And then in '96, I got a call from a guy I know in Austin. We want you to come work on some race cars. I'm like, I'd love to do that. With ADD and with the focal issue, the focus point issue that I have, I can work on race cars and focus. I'm the engine guy.
Oh, no shit.
Daytona, LeMans, Nürburgring, long races, I always go through the engine. But I have to tell you, it's a disaster for me because...
Is it the intensity of those
Yes.
situations that allows you
I
to
think
almost like it's an Adderall for you because of the...
It's funny.
Some people, it's the space,
Yes.
and all that shit where they got on the headphones in order to program the computer or whatever. Is it similar?
It is. It's a great movie, by the way. So
What is?
no, the dude I got a Dent who did The Big Short, and he was in his office and on the computers and writing the shorts that he was going to buy and the big plan.
Oh,
Sorry.
so that's I see. So what I did reminded you of somebody
That's what
doing
he did.
exactly that thing
That's
in
what
that
he
movie.
did.
All right.
And basically,
we
okay,
figured it
you
out.
want me to go really deep now? I'm sorry, this is going to get
No,
really
we're good on
personal.
time, so I want to truck along if we can.
Okay.
Just because I want to get to the books and we're good on time
I grew
already.
up, what are we at?
We're already over, so I want to.
We're finished?
No. We've got as much time as you want.
Oh my God!
But
And
we've
it's not
already
recording any longer, but we kept going.
We've already done as much time as we need to do.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
To
You
be
fulfilled your
honest with
commitment,
you-
sir. The rest is just candy.
I grew up in a very, very, very screwed up childhood. I was beat up a lot, severe, broken chairs over me, and all kinds of stuff. And bruises on my body as a baby. I mean, really bad. So I focus well on things, and that's one of the reasons I had to leave. I'm sorry to be so honest with you guys.
Why?
But
I think this is amazing.
Don't ever apologize again. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Well, it's embarrassing too. You know what I mean? Because my father wasn't a bad person, but he had such a severe temper, and
Everybody's got a
subjected me
story.
to-
Don't ever feel badly about that though. Or like, what do you feel like you're bringing it down, or you're getting too real, or something?
Right.
No way.
So
people-
what I've done is redirected that energy.
I want you to know that you're on this show so that you can feel comfortable to do this. That's what makes us a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? This is
I
half
do.
Mr. Rogers in here. It's half Letterman, half Mr. Rogers. It is what it is. I think that's weird. I never would have created that and said, hey, watch our show. It's half Letterman, half Mr. Rogers. But it's what we made.
I grew up building models in my room, listening to music. Music was everything. That whole Columbia House Records. You're probably too young to
No, I had
it
this.
too.
I ordered 12 of them, paid for one.
I was just going to say.
kept ordering them. Santana.
It was the
gonna be
greatest.
honest too.
Kiss.
I was did the trials every time.
I kept going. I went on for years. And
Send the envelopes,
I
and
think
my
I went
mother's
through
like, "What are
the
you
CD
doing?"
days because these were albums,
Yep.
and then I went into the.
I
Actually,
did-
it was 8 tracks.
I did tapes and CDs.
Oh my gosh!
And I
That's so
actually
long.
taped. This is so funny. I haven't told anybody about this. I taped an 8-track player to the handlebars of my bicycle, and I listened to Aerosmith Rocks while I was going through the subdivision.
It was It was batteries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
So I've just realized the other day how many
He had
components.
driving his BMX with a deck on the front. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, and my dad built me a special bike where he had 2 pieces of pipe that would come to it was a sissy bar, and he had a nut on the back. I mean, this is like the ultimate bike now, and I was so embarrassed.
Oh, it would be a lowrider
We
bike
had
now.
money, and so I grew. Yes, and I grew. Well, it was a Schwinn, but it was a.
But it was
a
set up
unique
like a
bike
chopper,
with the,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I grew up around. See, we had money, and I would be embarrassed. I know this is going to sound stupid, but we would buy all these clothes for the new year in school, and I would be embarrassed wearing new clothes. And one day they dropped me off in the 5th grade at our house, this big house, and I went to school in Pflugerville, Pflugerville, and
Be a
in
quiz later.
Texas, outside of Austin, which is now Austin. What's that?
There will be a quiz later. Go ahead.
For you. And so then the girl looks at me because I don't know about, what you've been through in the 5th grade. I refused to take a bath. It was this creepy, it was a bad part of my life.
Sure.
And I was, what are you, 10 or something? And I was really rebelling. And the girl
Did you
looks
ever
at me
look
and she
at
goes,
why that was, though? Why you were
live
doing that?
here? This big house. Yeah, it was that whole.
That's what I'm saying. Was it scars and things like that?
It was.
And
It was
exposing
terrible.
yourself?
When you live, I don't know if you've watched that Julia Roberts movie about all the cans turn the right way. I mean, that was my life. You don't walk that way. You're kicking. I got cowboy boots. I can't believe I'm being so open.
You're
with
talking
something.
about you had a parent who was so overly critical that everything you were doing was
My
wrong.
father.
Yep.
That's
So
what
did we.
made me the perfectionist I am, though.
But did that come from narcissism? Or
My
did that
eyes
come
switching.
From perfectionism? Like, where do you think that came from with them? You know, they wanted you to be perfect. Like, is that a narcissism because you were a reflection in their eyes, or was it just
That's what
I need things in my life
Narcissism
perfect
is
and
really
you're in my
important.
life?
That's a very interesting question that I've never posed. Is that the right way
You don't
to
need
say
to
it?
answer it today, but maybe think about it on your own.
But thank you for asking me that question. It's going to take a while to answer that because my mom and my father are gone. And my mom was so fed up with my father. Yeah, that's a deep one.
Yeah.
But
there's drama. Families have drama. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Everyone thinks
it's huge drama.
The big house is
I don't care how much
perfect,
money
and
you
the
have.
little hut is
it looks
shitty
amazing.
life. They're
we
both
have planes.
everything.
We had big boats. My dad would take me in his 38 foot fishing boat out 150 miles every weekend offshore. Well, regardless, let's go into some fun stuff. So in 1980,
I want to wrap that up with everybody has shit. Everybody has baggage. Everybody is damaged in some way. I feel what makes you a good person in the end of the day is what you decide to do with that and how you decide to wrap it all up. Do you put a fucking bow on it and just chuck it in the closet, or do you deal with it and be real about it like you've decided to do? And then you become this authentic person who sits here and just bears their soul whenever.
That's what it is.
Here's
my
the deal.
girlfriend Diane said, "Be careful
this is
what you say
help
because she
somebody
knows
else.
how I am."
This is going to
I
help
hope
somebody
you're right.
else.
I really hope you're right because that's why I teach now.
It's something you said earlier, like just bearing your soul. You didn't say that, but something
That's
like
what I'm doing.
Bearing it really does help people
Lifting my
to
skirt,
know.
being
It's
transparent.
Yes.
everything you've talked about and that we've said of our parents is projection of what they think is perfection. So we were living up to ideals they thought they needed to uphold. Guess what? What were they upholding them for? And were they right
Well, it's
even?
keeping up
And
with
we
the-
do it, but we all do it to ourselves. And at some point, like you have to be responsible for yourself as a person. Like you can't blame
That's
anyone
true.
else ever. So it's not that it doesn't matter anymore, but we all have it. So we all need to just say, okay, and we all move on.
Yeah, some people have done the work. I think that's
well,
what
there are
makes it
so many
different.
people that judge, and I've done the work, and that 25 years of therapy. Thank you. That 25 years of therapy really taught me so many things, and it's the people I've been fortunate to surround myself with, Adrian, Don, and Harold Carr, and that taught me those basics. Adrian, who hung in there with me and taught me about carburetors and Porsches and whatnot, and then Norma, my therapist, that just got me through the crap and said, "Hey, we're going to get through this." So 1980, my dad was like, "We're going to go work at a dealership." That was my first job at a Porsche dealer. Was 1980. I was 17 years old.
Wait, hang on. How do we get back here? Where are you going with this?
Just going to where I started with Porsches.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about the books if that's all right, because you
I'd
brought
love
a
to talk
bunch
about
of
the
books.
books. So if you want me to kill an hour or two, or half a day, put me either in a hardware store or a bookstore. So on the way here, I was way too early
It's
because
so funny. I'm the same way because you can make
you could
anything
just whatever
what's
is
a
in there.
hardware
You're
store.
like, oh, I need this.
Yeah, I
need
didn't know
this.
they.
And if
I didn't know they had that.
Yeah,
That's me.
If
I didn't know they
because
had
later
that.
when you're gonna be, I saw that.
I used to have to
somewhere.
try to make things based on prop building and stuff. So you would just go to the hardware store and buy a bunch of things that weren't anything, but then you could make this out of it.
I love
It's an
how
erector set for adults.
Your personality and mentality of both of you, and I've enjoyed seeing you at car events because you are real, and we can talk about things, and nothing about how you laugh or what you do or how you talk. It's just knowing I'm feeling a person there. I went over. I was really early before I came here. When I came over here, and I love the auto bookstore in Burbank. The Aero bookstore. Is it Auto and Aero, right?
Yeah, or Aero.
And they added Aero.
Aero bookstore, I think, is what it's called now, but it is certainly.
Okay, they're great people.
Yeah.
And Tina, who owns it,
It's a landmark also in Burbank,
It
right?
is.
It's been
It's an
there
institution.
forever. Yeah.
Just like at dinner, a lot of people have originated here in the Valley, right? Is this the Valley? I don't know, really, to be honest with you.
Coanga Pass to Hooka Lake is a little weird.
Okay,
Universal City.
So, not to jump subjects, but I was on my way here, and I saw a girl walking across the street pushing a baby buggy with a baby in it, and she looked she was the epitome of a Valley girl, and I'm like, is this Halloween
know what that is
thing,
anymore?
or
Isn't
is
that everyone now?
She had that butchy hair. She looked kind of like your hair, and
I told you, mine's hanging on to it. Mine is living it while it's got it. That is what's going on.
With the midriff, you could see her belly, no bra, the whole thing, and I'm like, have you seen Valley Girl the movie? It's awesome.
No. That would probably help. Earth Girls Are Easy. I remember that. They
Oh
were
yeah.
Valley Girls.
Oh, by the way,
and they were Valley
you're going the
Girls.
wrong direction. I am a B movie freak. Like Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Oh, I'm
with Bill Maher
Attack
and-
of the Killer Tomatoes and all that stuff. I loved it.
That was a good one.
Okay, so I wanted to kill some time, so I went there, which I needed to go there anyway. And for me to get out of there with $1,000, with under 1,000 is great. So I was at 300. So what did I do? These kind of tell a story in a way. Do you mind?
No, of course
So
not.
this one is from Pete Zimmerman. I worked for Pete Zimmerman in a shop called Redline. He's now gone. He's sold. And Pete he was a very unique guy. And he wrote this book.
Is the shop still there and it's not him?
The shop's around, but it's
Okay.
not the same because
Gotcha.
Pete was the guy. The used 911 story. If you want to learn about Porsches in 2 nights and which Porsches to buy and what not to buy, that's the one I would get. Such a neat, basic.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I didn't come up with a card for it, but this is Tony's book club. These are your recommendations. Tony's picks. This is awesome. I'm excited.
We're clapping.
I didn't know what exactly you were doing here. I think this is great for this. This
well,
is a
I
book
just thought
I
it would be
recommend.
neat to kind of. Okay, here's what I did.
I'm
I built a
saluting you. I
library
think
at
it's
home.
wonderful. I didn't mean to roadblock it.
You didn't.
Good.
We built. I built a library at home, and I think a library explains somebody and who they are. So then I couldn't help but get Unsafe at Any Speed, Ralph Nader. You know what? You know what he did, don't you? He terminated basically the Corvair and why the Corvair is no longer on the street.
Well, without a
and
doubt.
how it wasn't.
That's the Who Killed the Electric Car is almost the follow-up to that sucker.
Really?
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. That's the Corvair. It was, the rear engine. It's the same kind of thing, but it was not engineered in the same manner. So there were some other things to it that maybe it didn't handle like a Porsche, but
No, but the Porsches were the same suspension. The Volkswagens were the same suspension.
just the chassis was different.
Chassis was different, and well, he said they broke in half. But I've never read the book. I want to read the book and I want to see what it's about.
Good for you.
Nowadays, there are a ton of things on audiobooks, right? And it makes it so much easier for us. Wall Street Journal every day, New York, whatever you want to read, whatever you want to listen to. Now, I am also really engulfed in the history of hot rodding. Like this morning, I'm friends with Jesse Combs's ex-boyfriend, or ex.
Late in memorial. I don't know what that would be.
But
the late
neat
Jesse
people,
Combs'
you know,
I don't know. How
and
that
I
works
like
either.
those people and what Keanu Reeves have built, with the motorcycle
Yeah.
company. And I don't mean to plug everybody, but I wanted to read about Iskandarian, and the camshafts and the hot rod days. Okay, moving on.
And that's an autographed copy. Did you realize that when
I
you bought
didn't
it?
realize that.
Let's look inside and see.
Wow.
How
And by the
cool.
way, every book I buy, I write in the beginning what year, what date, where I got it from, the story. So
Because
this
this
will
whole
be
thing
part
is
of
your
this.
story. Yeah, that's
That's
wonderful.
right. And it's not for anybody else. It's for me to look back and go, ooh, in 1998,
yearbook.
You
I
remember
bought
the
this.
day.
Yearbooks, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm not going to remember. The
Look at
official
that.
guide to
What
cooling
a great
systems.
graphic. That's a great graphic.
It is a great graphic.
Can I hold that up just for a
Kind
second?
of looks like a cafe.
Look at this.
I
guy.
love that.
Isn't that great?
It looks like an old cartoon to me.
It's awesome.
Or a cafe. Yeah, yeah.
You know what? Speaking
it's
of
a
old
diner menu for
Speaking
sure.
of old cartoons, it drove me crazy. I had some friends that from years ago. This has been a while now because we don't talk any longer, which I don't do from people. I think it's a power trip. But I bought their son, who was like 3, a Looney Tunes DVD, and they're like, "That's so violent. We can't." Really?
Because it's like R-rated cartoons.
It's
now.
violent. Well, the rabbit, gets smashed by the
But there's so
whatever.
much stuff. There's
the
so much.
Roadrunner
There's
gets
sex.
smashed. by
There's war propaganda. There's so much stuff in those old cartoons.
rockets.
They're amazing.
You're riding a rocket. So then, How to Build a Car by Adrian Newey. Adrian Newey, one of the most famous, really mechanical engineers, and who worked with Formula One teams. Right. So that was cool. Peter Falk. Now let me tell you how. I know
What? I'm sorry.
No,
One
not
more thing.
not him. No,
Oh, I see.
another guy.
Different Peter Falk.
Mrs. Columbo wouldn't forgive me.
Peter Falk worked at Porsche, and he's one of the original people at Porsche. Not back in the 18 and early 1900s, but by 1950. And how do I know about him? I don't know him, but I do spend quite a bit of time over at the factory and spending time with those people. I restored a car, 911R number 1, 1967.
Fine. One
R
thing
number
from my
1.
card we're going to get to today. Just the one.
Can we get
All
to it a
right.
little earlier?
No, it's fantastic.
Wait for it.
911R.
Can we get to it now?
Yeah, let's do it.
So
911R.
I'm not going to go into that full story, but I'm going to finish the books. And then,
Beautiful.
So I restored 911R number 1. Ours went from 1 million to 6 to 7 million now.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I hate to put things in
Wow.
a monetary value, but you must. You have to put things in monetary value because otherwise people don't understand what we're talking about. Well, the customer wants 10 million for it. It could go for 9. Now you may say, but Tony, all the other R's are going for 5 to 7 million. Why would this one go for 9? Because of its history, its lineage of running the world record run, the BP sponsored run for Porsche at Monza for 96 hours. So we'll come back to that. But why do I mention Peter Falk in that? Is in relation to that is because Peter's the guy that drove the car from the factory to Monza. And we needed to know what color the car was supposed to be. It's definitely ivory, eggshell white. But should it have green stripes or red stripes? Because when I got the car, it had green. And there had always been controversy around whether it should be red or green. And there are people out there that argue with me and say, I peeled the colors off and I remember scratching them. And I know that car was green because the car was green for many years before it came to us and when it came to us. And we found photographs. Well, so we called Peter Falk. Randy Leffingwell did, a good friend. And he goes,
And author
Peter
of many
thinks,
Porsche books.
and let me set the stage. Yes.
And many car books. Many books.
We need to get Randy over if you haven't had him.
Love to. I
He's a
don't know
great
him,
friend.
but I love his work.
He's a great guy.
Love to have
He's one of those people that he's so nice you don't believe he's real, and like you guys. And so Randy called Peter, and Peter made a bit of a mistake, and it was right at the deadline where we're trying to order the color and try to find out the Pantene color and everything, and so he thought it was green, and we're like, oh, green. Well, it turns out photos showed up within hours of that, and they were all red. You can't tell red and green from a black and white photo.
No, but I do know creativity, and nobody would put the
Swiss
BP
drivers?
logo on a green striped car. They would put, you know what I'm saying? Like it
Well,
just almost doesn't make sense.
That's
Were there
interesting.
green cars that also had the BP logo? Because I can't even envision one because it wouldn't look as good.
Later. There were.
Oh, okay.
But let me explain. There's a very important fact that everybody missed. It was 4 Swiss drivers.
Oh, gosh.
That's where the red came from. Joe
Red and
Siffert,
white.
right? 4 Swiss drivers that drove the car.
There you go.
Hence the red.
The simplest answer ever.
And,
That's Occam's razor there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that does make the
And
most
so
sense.
when we brought the car to the Quail Classic for the first time, everybody was coming over going, no, you made such a mistake. And I pulled out the book of the photos, and they're like, people were falling to the ground.
Because you
At
changed the
Quail.
game. You changed people's perception of what that car always was.
And so what really gets me is that the brand new R came out, the 17R came out with green stripes. I'm like, no, it's not right. Okay. And lastly, when you go into a bookstore, and if there is a book, somebody did this for me as a favor. Well, I say as a favor, but we knew each other from the racing days. But I had to buy it. So
Is that you?
Yeah, that's my shop.
That's you in your shop?
Bruce Anderson
Third edition.
is somebody who I can credit for.
Oh, and up to 98. So that's just the air-cooled cars there.
Yes. Bruce Anderson was at Daytona in 1996 when I was working on an engine, and I knew who he was, and he was really making me nervous taking all these photos, and I almost couldn't work any longer, and I turned around, I'm talking to him, and he's like, I love the way you're doing things. You're a true race mechanic. And Bruce, I don't know if you realize, Bruce goes way back in Porsche Club history. He was the Porsche guru, kind of like for technical things with the Porsche Club of America. Stephanie is his wife.
Okay.
When
Is there some
somebody
controversy
passes
about
away-
that?
Protege?
No, when somebody passes away, his
Widow?
widow. Sorry, I couldn't.
No, now I understand why you
And
realize.
she's still a friend. And Bruce introduced me to Joel Reiser in 1998, and we ended up having a factory race supported race team. And Bruce, you ever known somebody in your life like that, and they don't want anything, and they just said, here, I want to do something for you. And that's what Bruce did for me.
Yeah, and they're coming up lately. And we're very,
Isn't that cool?
We're very grateful.
And you're
whatever we've
you're
been
grateful.
working on.
And you can't do
kidding
really
me?
anything for them, and you're just like, I'm so grateful. And I think that's what they care about. Like Andy Pilgrim did that for me.
I think
He
some
helped me
people
get a
like
job
to
on a race
help
team.
people. Help people succeed.
Just like we want to help people,
With the
right?
it's the same thing as the information you were talking about before. I've got this information. Let me hold on to it because it's my value. I've got all this money and these connections and all the whatever. I'm going to hold on to it. So I stay. how about you lift others up and then you feel better and then the whole thing just keeps on going. I don't know that this works for everybody, but it's what I believe currently.
It should. And I'm not saying if you have 4 homes, you shouldn't have 4 homes because you can't live in the other 3. That's your deal. That's capitalism.
Sure.
But I do think you can be a philanthropist. Is that what it is? And help other people. So
it doesn't also, that's another thing, it doesn't take money to be a philanthropist in my mind. I know that may go against the typical definition, but to me it has nothing to do with it.
Go with the
energy is
definition.
energy. It's whether it's financial energy or
I think
mental,
I heard you guys
whether
talk
it's
about
physical.
that earlier with the porn or whatever it was that you can give with whatever you have to give, right?
Whatever you're into, it doesn't matter what.
Whatever,
There's
and
a way
you're
to
doing
give
your
back,
part.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you're making a lot of money. I tell people you can be rich. Just get into drugs and porn. What's the big deal? But it's not all about money.
Let's see. All right, one last question.
One last question?
Yeah, because it's the first question of the day. How do you stay so positive? What is your deal? Do you wake up this way, or do you have a routine?
I'm glad I've told you what I have.
You credited therapy and life experience earlier.
When, like my mother, she was the one who kind of did this. When you grow up the way I did, and life is a mother fudge from like, I don't know if you've ever wished, I don't ever wish anybody was dead, but when you grow up and you just, it's that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Life's not bad, man. We can go through, when you go through, I'm not saying I've been through hell. I mean, but it was my hell.
Yes.
And when my mother's told me stories of growing up in the war, and
that was her hell.
I'm good. Yeah, exactly. She told me stories of her father carrying phosphor bombs out of the house where they're burning his hands, and they built that house with the church.
Yeah, amazing
stuff. I think it could be bad, and you know what? What amazes me is that we weren't born in some third world country, or I mean, you're gonna laugh at this, but running water, a toilet, a shower. When I get out of the shower and I put the towel on my face, every day I'm just like, oh my God, that feels so good. I know this sounds crazy, but
not to me.
Warm water, you know. I mean,
we used to feel that would be crazy,
and people think we're people. Yeah, right. I did that when
once
I was
our life
younger.
was.
What's wrong?
Once our life changed, so did all the perspectives.
Being grateful,
yeah.
And it's interesting you say that, and it doesn't mean you've got to just sweep everything under the rug. And
no, in fact, you can't sweep anything under the rug. That's kind of the trick, because you want to.
Oh yeah, it's easy to
do,
but it's not going anywhere.
Yep.
And opening the business and running the business, looking back, is the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. And I don't want to say it's because I've done it and I don't want you to do it. I don't think anybody should ever have to go through owning a business, because it is. You're embarking on a journey that it will be the hardest thing you've ever. Your plight will be your problem. I have an analogy for a business.
But what about staying positive? So you're just grateful all the time.
I'm grateful
because of your
you have
your
to
life
look at everything
experiences.
there. It's funny how that's turned. In fact, I've got to finish telling you this.
Oh,
I have an
okay.
analogy about having a business. I look at it like I have a very large, like Sasquatch as a pet, and it has it poops everywhere. It eats a lot, and it needs all my attention. So it's very needy. So I'm feeding it all the time. It's very expensive. I have to pick up poop everywhere and deal with that. So that's my business. Being grateful is because you've got to see that through all tough things, and my mother taught me this, that through tough things is where you're going to learn, not through easy things in life. So as a kid, she's like, hey, tough days are here because are here so you can learn and gain, because good days you would not appreciate them. Don't you agree?
I both love and hate that one day, and it's different for everybody, but one day you get to an age where you realize that everything you'd ever been told was true. You know what I'm saying?
That's
whether
amazing,
it's well, you are what you eat, or
no matter what it is, because you gain knowledge
those old things,
through all
and
of
now
that.
you understand what they mean, and it was never just the words; it was the fundamentals of what they were saying. That to me is why communication is so key. I think you did a great job today. How do you feel?
Thank you. empty.
This was
I
a
feel
big deal for
worn
you.
out because it's sharing a lot of information. Just
Like
like when
after
I
therapy.
teach a full day class, it is. And as you know, you can go to therapy and just sit there and gain nothing. But if you really want to work on it and tell them things, and you will gain from it.
Oh,
But
you could go there and
thank
just
you.
waste both of your time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that like the ending signals? Did somebody
don't
knock
know.
on the door?
Yeah, you heard it too. But we're recording.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks so much for being here, man. Let's see. We have Mrs. Ryan. What's going on tomorrow?
Friday.
Oh, tomorrow's Breakfast Club. Holy smokes. All right, Breakfast Club tomorrow and morning shift on Saturday. And then I think Malibu and Muffins on Sunday. Good stuff. Good stuff. And then we are not back until the PEC. Holy smokes. Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
that's crazy.
November 11th. We'll see you from there, and we'll be checking in the meantime.
3rd anniversary, guys.
Love you so much, Mrs.
Love
Ryan.
you.
Tony Callas, we love you so much.
Happy Halloween.
Best
Thank
of
you
luck
so
with
much
everything.
for having me.
Thank
We love
you for
everybody at
coming.
home. Please love one another, and we'll see you soon.
Do you want to do that? I feel so vulnerable because it's probably a UPS person. You know what I mean?
Yes.